Hi. Okay, here we go. So this is my attempt at first online yoga class. Welcome to my home. That's my cat right there, Luna. She may be joining us in and out here a little bit. So, most of us are stuck inside, self-quarantining. And that kind of isolation can feel a little bit dark, right? Maybe a little bit dark in the head and the mind, and maybe a little bit in the heart, or both. But you can look out your windows and maybe even step outside, and you're beginning to see signs of life. Right. In my house, our bathroom has a skylight, and there's this family of birds. I like to think that kind of made a nest up there. And last week, I realized that it's almost spring, so I'm hearing them sing their bird songs, right, tweeting away. And it really put a smile on my face. And we can walk out on the earth, and we feel the soil softening. We see the flowers beginning to bloom, right, the leaves beginning to peek out of their buds on the trees. Right, so all of these layers kind of building up and coming together, right, that create what we perceive as spring, as this life, this light. So we're going to work today kind of in our own root, our own grounding, our hip, our pelvis, right, our root chakra, and opening that up in different ways, in different layers. So we can more fully embody our own bird song, right, and spread our wings, so to speak, and maybe even fly. Okay, so what you need for this practice, 2 blocks would be great. If you don't have blocks, if you have some really thick books, I don't know who really has a book this thick, but maybe a stack of books. You can use rolled up blankets. You have multiple blankets, or shoe boxes, whatever. Okay, well, let's get started. So we're going to start lying on our back. So in Supta Baddha Konasana. So your soles of your feet are going to come together, right? And your knees come out wide. And hopefully this actual light that's coming in is not going to become too harsh as we move into our practice. And then the blocks are going to come underneath your legs at whatever height feels right this morning. So maybe it's lowest, maybe it's medium, maybe it's high. And that might change as you begin to lower down onto your back. So once you're on your back, you may need to change the position of your pelvis a little bit, the position of the blocks, the height of the blocks. My hips are actually feeling a little tight this morning, so I think I'm going to up level, right? And just giving yourself enough support so you can have kind of this passive opening through your inner thighs into your hips. And I would encourage you to have your arms, right, your wings, so to speak, along by your side, maybe out a little bit to encourage a little bit more opening through your chest, and palms face up. And then close your eyes or just gaze softly up towards the ceiling. And really allow the earth beneath you, right, to support you. And feeling really confident and comforted in this support, right? With everything that's kind of unknown, right? Having this certainty that there is this support underneath of you. And following this gesture of openness in both your legs, right, and your arms, finding an openness of breath, or maybe even building a more open breath. And so feeling the expansiveness through the rib cage down through the abdominal cavity, so through your whole container, and collarbones to the base of the pelvis. And once you begin to establish a rhythm in your breath, right? Let that rhythm become your song for today, for right now. Your breath becomes your bird song. And letting yourself continue to build on this comfort with the earth beneath you, and settling into your song, your breath, and beginning to bring life into your body from within. Begin to flip your hands over so your palms are grounding into the earth. Maybe even bring your arms a little bit closer towards your torso. Begin to press the soles of your feet together. So as you press the soles of your feet together, you should feel this engagement, this actioning all the way up into your hip joints. Maybe even more so in the inner leg than the outer, but just notice. So you keep pressing the soles of the feet, right? And then begin to tuck your pelvis. So your low back begins to ground down into the earth, right? And press down through your hands, maybe the whole length of your arms. And begin to float your feet away from the earth, right? And you're bringing them up as high up until your knees are in line with your pelvis. And so you have a little bit more of this kind of 90-degree angle at your knees. You're going to keep your heels connected, but let the balls of your feet come out wide. So you're making a V shape here. So heels stay connected, right? Arms long by your side. You're going to keep your legs in this configuration. And on your next inhale, you're slowly going to lower your legs until your heels, right, tap the mat. And then exhale, slowly come back up. So inhale, lowering until the heels tap. And then exhale, slowly come back up. Okay, so we're going to do that 3 more times for a total of 5. And you want to make sure you're keeping that 90-degree angle at your knees, right? So you're not changing the angle of your legs at all. You have this nice connection through the heels, right? And it's requiring this deeper activation of your abdominals, right? Your deep hip flexors. This should be the last one. Nice. And then keep your heels connected, but straighten your legs. Nice. So we're going to do a different version of to more get a deeper access into our hip flexors. So palms still face down, ground down. Connect the heels all the way up through the inner thighs. Maybe gently squeeze your glutes. And then again, on your inhale, slowly lower your legs. And they don't have to come all the way down to the earth. And then exhale, bring them back up so your feet are facing the ceiling. So again, 5 times. Keep the heels connected up through the inner thighs. And you're only going down as far, right, until your low back or low ribs begin to pop away from the earth. And keeping with the rhythm of your bird song, right? So you're inhaling down, exhaling up. And as you work through these, maybe you can lower your legs a little bit more each time as your body becomes acclimated, right, to this action. Notice if you're holding on to anything in the upper body, let all the work be in your lower body and deep core. I think this is the 5th one. And then rebend your knees, again, keeping the heels connected. This time, you're going to bring your knees closer towards your torso. So you're increasing the angle, you're decreasing the angle between your thighs and torso. Okay, but your heels are still connected, knees out wide. You're going to reach your arms in between your legs, like they're reaching for your toes or past your toes, but you're not grabbing your toes or your ankles. Right, so your arms are in your inner legs. Connect heels, begin to hug thighs in, but press your arms out into your thighs. With this activation, see if you can bring your knees a little bit closer in, right? So maybe your upper arms are on your inner thighs. And if you can, you're gonna press your palms together, right, in Anjali Mudra, and then bring them a little bit closer towards your face. So your elbows are pressing out into your inner thighs, kind of like if you were in a squat, like a yogi squat malasana. Heels connect. Legs hug in, elbows press out, stay here. Just lift your head away from the earth, maybe up towards your prayer hands, your fingertips. Right? You should feel your pelvis. Your pelvis may lift a little bit off of the ground as your low back begins to round. Right? Heels press, hug in thighs, elbows press out. Stay here for 2 more breaths. Very active here. And then lower your head if it's up. Soften all that activation. Bring your knees into your chest. Maybe rock from side to side. Refine your breath, your song, your rhythm. And then come to stillness, and you're going to bring your hands to your shins if they're not already. And even though you're going to be kind of hugging your knees in, counter that by pressing your shins out into your hands until your arms straighten. Okay? And then begin to lift your head and really kind of you should feel like a rounding in your back as you kick your shins forward. And then use your feet as momentum to rock forward and back a few times. Oh, I have a hard time doing this. The shape of my sacrum, it's not really that smooth for me. Oh, I'm going to do one more. And the next time I come up, you're going to balance on your sit bones. So your feet are not touching the mat. You're going to transfer your hands to behind your thighs. Or you can reach them forward or reach them overhead. Right? So bring the heels to connect, toes out wide. Maybe bring your shins a little bit higher so they're more in line with your floor, with the mat. Right? So on your inhale, go ahead and straighten legs. Lower your torso just a little bit. Right, for a half boat, right, and then bend your knees and bring them back towards you, right, so we're going to do those 4 more times, total of 5. I guess 5 is the number we're doing things today. Okay. So inhale, straighten. Wow, I can really see my asymmetry here with me looking at the camera and my body in movement. All right, do 1 more. Nice. Release your feet down and wide. You can go ahead and drape your upper body between your legs and maybe rock from side to side. Okay. Let's come forward into tabletop. So all 4s. Hey, tunes. And then you're going to bring your wrists underneath shoulders and knees underneath your hips. Right? Feet can be flat or toes curled under, whatever feels best for you this morning. Today. Can't assume you're doing this in the morning. All right, when you're ready, coming into your song and bringing some movement into your rhythm. So inhale, go ahead and arch your spine, gaze forward, tailbone reaches high for a cow. And as you exhale, press down, round through the spine, tailbone reaches in between your knees. So doing a few rounds at your pace, your rhythm. Inhaling, arching, and exhaling, rounding. Let's do one more round. I hear my cat doing something bad. All right, after this next exhale, come back to neutral. And you can curl your toes under. Go ahead and lift your hips back and up for a downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Adjusting the length of your stance however you need to, and then making any movement that helps you settle a little bit further into this shape. Right, your next inhale, let's come forward into plank phalakasana. And we're going to hold here for a breath or two. I want you to find that deep core engagement that we just worked on when we were on our backs and in boat pose. Right? So it's going to help support you through your spine. Take one more deep inhale. And even keep that engagement as you exhale and lower all the way down to the earth. Once you hit your mat, go ahead and release to the tops of your feet. And your arms are going to release long by your side. Palms face down. Watch out, Tunes. All right, you're going to keep the tops of your feet and your front hip points grounded down. On your inhale, go ahead and lift just your upper body and your arms. And then exhale, go ahead and lower down. So again, we're going to just do that for 5 times. Why not? Inhale, lift upper body. Maybe your hands are above hip height. And then exhale, go ahead and lower. All right, 3 more times with the breath, right? Your rhythm, your song. Keep the back of the neck long as you lift up so you can really reap the benefits of the open throats and the movement of your breath. I think this is 5. So as you come down, you can begin to shift your hands back in line with your sternum. Curl your toes under and press back up into table all fours. So again, knees underneath hips, wrists underneath shoulders. Right? And really ground down through the knees. Maybe even gently press them down into the mat. Right? You should feel a little bit of engagement up into your glutes. And just take a gaze back at your thighs. And notice the nice vertical lines of your thighs. Right, you want to try to keep them vertical, right? As on your next exhale, let's bring right knee to right outer elbow. So a little movement in that stationary thigh, and then switch. Right, so exhale, bring left knee towards left outer elbow. And then as you inhale, go ahead and place it back down. Right, and keep going, alternating sides, right? And you're really keeping that grounded knee, right, steady, and that femur bone as vertical as possible, right, as you're bringing the other knee towards the elbow. I have a harder time doing that with my right knee planted. My hip always wants to jut out. And then one more time on each side. This is so weird seeing myself do this. Okay. All right. After that left side, go ahead and curl your toes under. You can lift your hips back and away, downward facing dog. Lengthening your stance as needed. All right, we just kind of brought some active mobility into our hip joint. Let's do the upper body, right, the shoulder joint. Right, so we're going to stay in this kind of V shape, right, or down dog shape. All we're going to do is bend our elbows out wide so the crown of the head kind of reaches in between our thumbs. Yep. And then as you inhale, go ahead and re-straighten the arms, right? So as you exhale, go ahead and bend elbows, right? Neck stays long. And then inhale, re-straighten. Guess what? 5 times. Magic number today, for at least for today's practice. think this is 5. Ooh, land in downward facing dog. On your inhale, come forward into plank. Again, we're going to hold, find that core engagement we worked on, right, to help stabilize the length of your spine, your whole container. And then exhale, go ahead and come all the way down, right, through chaturanga, or maybe knees down first. As you land, release arms long by your side. Tops of the feet ground down, front hip points ground down. Inhale, upper body and hold. So half locust, Ardha Shalabhasana, right? And then come back to your song, your breath, right? Whatever rhythm and depth feels right to you, right? And just kind of let that wave you up and down. And at the same time, you're going to begin to pulse your arms, right? Your wings, right? Almost like you're trying to take off. I don't think birds actually take off this way, but I think you get the idea of the visualization we're creating here. So even though you're activating all the way up to the shoulder girdle, let the tops of the shoulders be soft, right? That they're not hunching up. Let them create space away from your ears. And one more inhale, and then exhale, release down. Begin to slide your hands back in line with your sternum. Go ahead and press up to table again. Right. So this time as you come to table, right, you're going to take a longer table. Right? So more distance between your knees and your hands. Right? I think maybe we're all getting used to creating more distance between things nowadays. Okay, and then your toes can be curled under or not. And then you're just going to shift your pelvis back in space. So you're kind of in between a table and child's pose. Okay, all right, so we're going to keep, right, giving life to ourselves, right? This time, maybe through a little bit of food, so to speak, right? So on your inhale, you're kind of going to swoop down as your elbows come out wide and up into a cow shape. And then as you exhale, go ahead and begin to round your spine and shift your hips back towards your heels. Okay? So inhale, elbows out wide, swoop, nose forward and up into a cow shape, arching your spine. Exhale, press down through your hands, spine rounds, hips back towards your heels. So 3 more times. Right, so this is baby worm. Right. So our lower legs are stationary, and you're really finding this nice wave-like motion, right, through your spine, right, through the arch and the rounding. One more time. And as your hips come back in space, right, if your toes are not curled under, go ahead and curl them under. Lift your hips back and away for downward facing dog. Okay. So that was the baby worm, and maybe that was really delicious, but I feel a little bit hungry still. I want to feed my song. So we're going to attempt to do, mama worm. Okay. So if at any point this is a little too much load in your shoulders or anywhere in your body, come back to the one we just did on our knees. Okay. So on your inhale, elbows out wide, your nose swoops, your head swoops down and forward. You're coming through up dog, right, with your toes are still curled under. Then as you exhale, slight bend the knees as you round the spine and make your way back to downward facing dog. Right, inhale, elbows out wide, swoop forward and up, arcing the spine. Exhale, slight bend in the knees, round your spine, come back to downward facing dog. 3 more times, or not. One more time. Landing in downward facing dog. Nice. On your inhale, lift your right leg high. Three-legged dog. On your exhale, go ahead and swoop it or help it forward to a lunge. Right, before we come up, just make sure you have your blocks handy. You don't need them yet, but just have them around. Right, once your legs are set up, let's go into high crescent. So back leg is really straight and strong. And really ground down through the sole of the front foot. Okay, bring your arms straight out in front of you. Bend your elbows so you're at 90 degrees. Let's pretend we have an invisible strap on our upper arms. Begin to press out into the strap so you get that nice engagement all the way up through the shoulder girdle. I'm going to try to keep that activity, right, that activeness up through our shoulder girdle. Right? We're actually going to begin to bring some movement into our wings. So inhale, go ahead and open up wide, like to a cactus type shape. And as you exhale, bring your elbows maybe all the way up through your fingertips, press them together in front of you. Inhale, open up. And then exhale, go ahead and close. Let's do 5. Then as you're moving through this, maybe you exaggerate the arching and the rounding, if that's what feels good for your song today. Is this 5? I'm not sure. I'm going to say it's 5. And then we're going to extend our arms straight up, full expression of high crescent pose. Okay, so take one more inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and release your fingertips down, framing the front foot. Hi, Luna. All right, so here is where you can grab your blocks if you feel like you need more space in between your belly and your front thigh. Right, or you can just place, get them out of the way. All we're going to do is bring a little bit of softness here, maybe just a little bit of bouncing. You're going to shift forward and back. Right. So this is more about feeling what's going on through the front leg, the right. I just realized I'm not mirroring you, so I apologize for that. I'm doing the same side you are, even though it looks like opposite from what you're watching. So again, we're bringing this deeper flexion through our joints in our front leg, ankle, knee, hip. Come to stillness. Step that left foot out to the left. Maybe it's off your mat. Maybe it's not. I think I want to stay on my mat so I don't slip. And then shift forward and back. All right, and be a little bit playful here. Bring a little bit of life in through the joints on your right side. Right, and you can even kind of rotate a little bit in or a little bit out, as long as there's no pain. And then come to stillness. And then you're gonna swoop that left foot over to the right, to the other side of the mat, still in lunge shape. And then shift forward and back, right? And again, you can kind of rotate in or out, right? Playing with the mobility of your joints in these flexed positions. Yep, you can even drop your back hip and then come to stillness. And that back foot's gonna come in line with the hip. And so coming back to traditional lunge, drop your back knee down. Relief. All right, so now walk your right foot out to the right. Hands on the inside of that right foot. Setting up for lizard. This is going to be a lazy lizard. So now you can have, oh no, I skipped something. Oh, I'm glad you didn't, I remembered. Okay, so I lied. So you're going to grab your blocks, either side of your front foot. Go ahead and straighten that front leg, right? And walk the blocks back with you, if you'd like. Watch out, Loon. Okay, maybe she'll be my block. Okay. So left hip is over left knee. And if you need to adjust the placement of that right front heel, go ahead and do that. The sun's coming in to view, so we'll see how that goes. All right, so you're staying hands underneath your blocks. If you want to ditch the blocks, you can. Maybe even put a block on the inside of the front foot. Okay. So if you're coming onto fingertips, right? If you don't have a block here, that's fine. Just imagine one. Or you can place any obstacle there. Let it be a small obstacle, right? So on your exhale, you're going to attempt to lift that right foot over the block. Like so. And back. Ooh. We're just going to do it 3 times, right? So if you're having trouble kind of jumping your block, so to speak, having blocks underneath your hands is going to help. It's going to allow it to be more accessible. And that was the 3rd time. Okay, now lazy lizard earned. Right foot out to the right. Hands walk down to your forearms or forearms on blocks. Okay. Maybe front toes point out a little bit. Just come into a shape that you can settle in. Okay. So no holding on to anything, no activity. It's like you're going to be in a yin class for the next minute or so. Okay. So if you need to maybe shift side to side for a few moments just to help yourself, your body acclimate and settle. Let the focus come back to your song, your breath. Let your breath be fully open, ready to receive all of these layers of life, right, that are beginning to spring up, right, outside. From the flowers to the trees, the soil and the worms beneath it, churning it up, to the sound of the birds. Begin to walk back up onto your hands. Step back to downward facing dog. Come forward into plank and lower your knees down. So again, you're on all fours. Walk down onto your forearms, so in your forearm table. The feeling this sun is not going to help the cinematography. I don't know. So arms can be shorter with distance, or you can bring your palms together or interlace, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Curl your toes under, lift your hips back and up, come to dolphin pose with your shoulders over your elbows, really ground down from elbow to fingertips. Yep. And maybe walking in your feet if that's what feels right. Okay. So on your exhale, you're going to shift forward, right? Like you're going to touch the crown of your head right beyond your fingers, right? You won't, but that's where you're going, right? And then shift back so your shoulders are over your elbows. So forward, actually almost like your nose is going to touch the ground right past your fingers, and then shift back, right? We have 3 more. And then coming back to dolphin pose, you're going to walk onto one hand and then the other, coming back to downward facing dog. And then walk your hands back towards your feet, coming to forward fold, Uttanasana. On your inhale, come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, fold. Bring your heels together, toes out wide. So you're making that same V shape that we did during the beginning of class, right? And then begin to lift your heels and your knees bend out wide. Come into this version of Malasana squat. Right. So your hands or your fingertips are going to be grounded down into the earth. Right. So on your next inhale, go ahead and pull your hands back in space to help arch your spine, gaze forward. And then as you exhale, press your hands down in a way to round your spine. Tailbone reaches kind of in between your toes or past your toes. Right, so a few more here, just coming into a cat and cow, right, as we arch and round. And I wish I had a way to do multiple angles so you could see side view and front view. But right now, this is what I have. All right, after this next exhale, and come back to neutral. And so walk your hands back so your torso comes more upright. And you're going to bring your hands to heart center. Okay, so keep connecting through the heels and then press your hands together, maybe a little bit stronger than usual. So you have action up through your pelvis and shoulders. And on your next inhale, we're going to straighten our legs, come all the way up to stand. Ooh, heels still lifted. Reach your arms high. And then as you exhale, we're going to come all the way down, right? Or to whatever all the way down means to you. So maybe it's here and you stop, right? Or maybe you're able to go all the way back down. Whew. All right, let's do that 2 more times. Heels and hands press. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale, squat. Right. Whatever depth, again, feels right. All right, let's do that 1 more time. Inhale, up. Woo. And then exhale, squat. Nice. Release your hands down. Straighten your legs. Release your heels. Feet come hip width. And your feet are parallel. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, go ahead and walk hands out. Back to downward facing dog. On your inhale, lift your left leg high. As you exhale, swoop it or help it forward, lunge. Once you're set up, come on up into high crescent pose. And back leg straight and strong, ground down through the sole of the front foot. Hands reach forward, bend your elbows, find your invisible strap as you press out in the strap to really engage up through the shoulder girdle. Right. So with your breath, inhale, open your wings wide. And then exhale, close them, pressing elbows, maybe hands, fingertips. Right, so a few more times here. 5's the magic number. And again, bringing as much arching and rounding, right, to your mid and upper back here as it feels good. And maybe your gaze even follows a little bit. All right, 1 more. Hold open and then extend arms, fingertips up towards the sky. Take 1 more deep inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and lower hands to frame the front foot. All right, grab blocks if you need to create space for yourself as you begin to shift forward and back. Again, playing with the degree of flexion through this front foot, front leg. Shit, I think the sun's going to be an issue for you to see things, so I'll just have to make do. And then come to stillness, step right foot out to the right, so wide, and then go ahead, shift forward and back. And then come to stillness, step right foot over to the left, and shift forward and back. And again, you can play and be curious with the degree of rotation in and out, right, as you come into this deeper flexion. Right, your knee is built to rotate a little bit, so again, as long as there's no pain, go ahead and do it. Then coming to stillness. Back foot comes in line with the hips, back knee down. You're going to grab your blocks. straighten your front leg as you walk your hands back, setting up with your back knee underneath your hip, right? And straighten the front leg. And ground down through the heel. So you're keeping your hands supported by the blocks. Or if you want to bring your hands all the way down to the earth, you're going to place one of your blocks on the inside of that front foot. Right. And on your exhales, you're going to attempt to jump the block or your invisible block. All right, here we go. 3 times. Oh, this side is so much harder for me. Right, and you want to try to minimize, right, the shift back of that back hip, right, which will give you more access to do that, but you're not going to be activating those deep hip flexor muscles that I want you to. I would like you to. I don't know if that was 3. I'll do one more since this is the harder side. Okay. All right, now you can bend into the front knee. Foot comes out wide, setting up for your lazy lizard. Again, hands, and grab your blocks, place them underneath your forearms or coming all the way down to your forearms. Right, again, so lazy lizard means minimal effort, minimal work. Right, remember you're in a yin class for the next minute. If you need to shift back and forth for a moment just to find that place of comfort, go ahead and do it. So we've taken all these different movements and actions, right, to build on the layers of opening up through our hips, right? So we did traditional crescent pose, high crescent, right? One hip was flexed, one was extended, and then we brought some mobility, right? Some really nice mobility into our legs when we shift back and forth, and then we kind of reset all of that mobility with being very active through the hip flexors. And now we're coming to this passivity right through the hips, right, to really allow the tissue, the layers of tissue to soften and open up even further. All right, so begin to walk back up onto your hands. Step back to downward facing dog. On your inhale, come forward into plank. As you exhale, knees down, tabletop. And then walk down to your forearms, forearm tabletop. Hand option, shoulder width distance, prayer hands, interlace. If you interlace last time, pick the opposite interlace this time. Begin to curl your toes under, lift your hips up, dolphin pose. Walk your feet in to your degree of comfort. Right? Shoulders are over your elbows. Press down from elbow to fingertips. On your exhale, bend your knees to a hover. Maybe they slightly tap the ground. And then inhale, straighten. Right? 5 times. Keep pressing down from elbow to fingertip. Shoulders remain over the elbows. You're just really moving through the lower body. Nice. After 5 times, go ahead and walk back up onto one hand. And then the other hand, downward facing dog. Walk hands back towards your feet. Come to forward fold, Uttanasana. On your inhale, come up halfway. Ardha Uttanasana, exhale, go ahead and fold. Right. Begin to bend. Let's bring heels together. Now begin to bend into the knees, lift heels. So coming back to that same version of squat that we did earlier. Okay. And I actually think I'm going to change my orientation so you can see this. I think it'll be really helpful. Okay. So I'm going to face the side of the mat, and you might just want to grab a block to grab. All right, so heels connect. And then bring your hands down to the earth. And then begin to walk your hands away until you can lower forearms. So you're getting really low here. We did a lot of hip opening and hip flexor activation so we can get, right, this deep kind of squat here. Okay, so again, hand options, it can be shoulder width distance, prayer hands, or interlace. Okay, and then you can place a block right in front of your fingertips or in between your fingertips. Okay, so you're going to begin to hug the thighs in towards your upper arms, right? Keep the heels connected. Begin to press arms out into your inner legs. Shift your weight a little bit forward, hip rises. Really begin to round your spine, right? And activate your abdominals, especially your low abdominals, right? So elbow to fingertips press down. Legs hug in, upper arms press out. Shift forward. Maybe the head taps the block. Maybe you lift one leg, maybe the other leg. For baby, crow pose. Whew. Okay, I am actually going to come a little bit forward to show that. I know that was far away. I'm not sure how good that view was. Okay, so coming a little bit forward. Hi. So I would love to try this again. Okay, so sit up in your squat. And it is a little bit difficult. It's kind of easier, but also kind of harder than traditional crow. So I find it easier to kind of lift up, but I find it harder to keep my elbows or my arms high enough on, my legs high enough on my arms so they're not sliding off and I crash out of it. Okay. All right, okay, let's go. All right, so hopefully you can see a little bit easier here. Okay. So I'm actually going to do this way, okay? All right, so heels together on your tippy toes, knees out wide. Go ahead and walk your hands out so you can release down onto your forearms, okay? Again, we did all of that hip flexor work, mobility, stability, opening, activation, blah, 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 all of the things, right? So we can get to this deep, right, kind of flexed, hip flex position, okay? So arm options, shoulder width, prayer, interlace. Maybe this block comes here, maybe it doesn't. I want to try it without the block. It is harder, right? Also having sleeves on your upper arms. Okay, here we go. Baby crow, Balabhakasana. Okay, here we go. So ground down, elbow to fingertips, hug thighs in, press arms out. So really find that upper arm, inner leg, inner knee connection. Begin to round your spine. Maybe your hips lift up a little bit, right? To keep that heels connected so there's that action all the way up into your inner groin. And then shift forward. And release. I don't know how that looked. Hopefully you saw it. Actually, for your sake, because this is for you, I am going to attempt to do it one more time without all of this sun. La 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 la. Bye, sun. Yeah? Okay. Here we go. For you, this is how it should look. Okay? Should look-ish. Ooh, maybe I'll use the wall behind me. Smarts. Okay. Press down, hug in, press out, lift. Release. Okay, I think this angle's much better. Alright, so we're coming back to reverse. Tabletop, fingers pointing in any direction that feels good to you. Feet are hip width distance. On your inhale, lift up to reverse table. Knees over ankles and shoulders over your wrists. On your inhale, lift your right arm, right wing up and back. Lift your pelvis. Right, so even gaze back towards the edge of your wing. On your exhale, Sweep the right wing towards the left as you spiral down. Inhale, open back up. So moving with your breath here. And maybe allowing your gaze to follow, right, the sweeping of your wing. Let's do one more. I think that'll bring us to 5. And then as you stay open, maybe reach that wing even further back. Maybe the gaze follows. Lift the pelvis. Grab down through left hand soles of the feet. Take one more inhale. Purvottanasana. Exhale, go ahead and release. Hips down, hand down. And then you're going to let both your knees fall over to the right. And then walk your hands closer to your pelvis so your torso is more upright. I'm just going to spin around so you can see this. Right. And if you want to kind of tuck your feet in a little bit closer towards your pelvis, you may. Bring your left hand to your left thigh. Reach your right arm straight out from your shoulder. So wrists are in line with your shoulder. And so kind of on the angle. And look at your right hand, your right wing. Let that wing begin to open up and spiral you all the way down from your gaze, your neck, upper back, mid back, low back. Once you feel you've gotten to the furthest point of your twist with your wing, take a deep inhale. And then exhale. See if you can reach that wing a little bit more open and let the gaze follow. And then release that right hand down, coming into Baddha Vajrasana. Take one more inhale and exhale. Find a slight engagement in your core. So you can lift that right wing off of the ground and reach it kind of behind you. And again, looking at your right wing, your right hand, you're going to allow the movement of the wing back forward to unfurl you out of the twist. So low back, mid back, upper back, neck, gaze. Release your hand down. Let's do the other side. So coming back to reverse table. Feet hip width. Hands behind you again. Fingertips pointing in any direction. Feels good. On your inhale, go ahead and lift up into reverse table. Ground down through right hand. Lift your left. Left wing up and back. Something that is square-ish, the hips up towards the ceiling. On your exhale, fold your left wing towards your right. And then inhale, open back up. And again, maybe letting your gaze follow the movement of your wing. And let your breath, your song, initiate the movement, your rhythm. I think this might be the 5th one. And you'll stay open. And then maybe really reach your wing back. Maybe your gaze follows. Lift your hips, ground down through hand and feet. One more inhale. Exhale, slowly lower. All right. Knees to the left. Walk your torso upright. So shoulders are over your hips. Again, if you want to tuck your feet in a little bit closer, you can. Right hand to right thigh. Left wing reaches out on the diagonal. Gaze at your left hand. Begin to spiral, right, using the opening of your wing, gaze, neck, upper back, mid back, low back, hips. Keep reaching, reaching, reaching. Once you've gotten to your furthest point, take a deep inhale. And then exhale. See if you can reach that wing a little bit further. And then release the hand down, coming back to Bardvajasana's twist on this side. Notice if this following shoulder is kind of reaching up towards the ears, let it be soft. You can even kind of sweep your ear to the side and back to get a nice opening along the right neck, collarbone area. Take one more inhale and exhale. Begin to engage your core so you can reach that left wing behind you. Gaze towards the left fingertips, the left wing. And you're going to begin to unfurl yourself, right, gazing at your wing from hips, low back, mid back, upper back, neck. Arm reaches forward and down. All right. We're going to begin to make our way onto the mat, so knees bent. And you might want to have come a little bit forward on your mat so you have room behind you to come to lie down. So feet are hip width, knees are bent. Go ahead and reach your arms forward, your wings forward. Right, begin to tuck your pelvis so you can slowly roll all the way down. Nice. As you release down, you can bring your knees into your chest. Maybe hug them in and roll from side to side. You can keep the knees together, or if you would like, you can let them come out wide. And you can grab ankles, right, shins, foot, feet, right, coming to happy baby, Ananda Balasana. Maybe you keep rocking. Maybe you begin to straighten one leg and then the other leg. You can find a rhythm that syncs up with your breath, your song. Using all of these layers right through our root, our hips, all the way up to our shoulders, and just being a little playful here, finding life. Finding light. And then come to stillness. And you're going to begin to release your legs long on the mat. Arms long by your side, palms face up. Setting up for Shavasana. Closing your eyes. Or just taking maybe a soft gaze. Just for a few moments. Finding that settling, that grounding of your physical body into the earth. Letting all of that churning that we did, that opening through your hips, your roots, your root chakra, muladhara, resonate out through your whole being. Feeling that vibration of your song, your bird song, bringing life, bringing light to you from the inside out. feel a full body breath. Feel how deepening your breath begins to resonate through your whole physical form, bringing it back to life. From your fingertips to your toe tips to the crown of the head, bringing some movement back into them. Maybe reaching your arms, your wings overhead for a full body stretch. And beginning to bend your knees, bringing them towards your chest so you can softly roll onto your right side. Pausing here for a moment in softness, in comfort, in confidence of having this support beneath you. Go ahead and press yourself up to a comfortable seat. As you land in your seat, go ahead and bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Let your thumbs rest gently back into your sternum. Maybe gently shift on your sit bones, right? Really rooting yourself down. And on your inhale, feel your breath move all the way down into your pelvis. Keep that connection even on the exhale. And take a soft gaze down towards your fingertips. So we can take a few moments to sit in gratitude of this practice of finding the layers of life, even when we may feel like we're in the dark, through movement, and through breath. I sit in gratitude of you for sharing your beautiful practice with me online. Let's end the class with a single Om. So you have sensitive hearing, you may want to turn it down. Take a deep inhale. May all beings be happy and free and healthy. And together, let's bow our heads and say namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to try to post more during the week, but keep moving. Try to keep control of what you can do, not of what you can't control. So thank you so much. Bye.